A senior Democratic senator has said that there'll be no enthusiasm for a UK-US trade deal in Congress if the Good Friday Agreement is damaged by arguments over Brexit. Speaking to me a few minutes ago, Senator Chris Murphy said the special relationship is America's most important alliance, but he warned that the UK that a failure to reach agreement over the Northern Ireland Protocol could affect that bond, as well as communities in Northern Ireland.
We're deeply appreciative of the British government for hosting so many U.S. members of Congress and diplomats over the course of COP26. I'm proud of the progress that was made there. This is obviously the most important alliance that we have. We obviously have great equities in the Good Friday Agreement. There are supporters on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats in Congress. And I think the message is that right now we want to make sure that these negotiations over the Northern Ireland Protocol, the sort of last stages of Brexit, are done in a way that doesn't compromise the relative peace and stability that you see today in and around Belfast. You've got a lot of members of Congress who care deeply about the Good Friday Agreement, and many of us feel that exercising Article 16 could plunge Northern Ireland into economic chaos, which could lead to political instability. And we need to press this message in Brussels as well. Brussels needs to come to the table and agree to be flexible on the implementation of the protocols. But there's certainly a lot of American interest in making sure that we preserve the foundations of the Good Friday Agreement.
Of course, an element of the Good Friday Agreement was respect for both communities and, to a certain extent, open borders. Now, Brexit is rather different philosophy from that. I mean, do you actually think that Brexit is compatible with preserving the Good Friday Agreement? Because it's going to mean, isn't it, borders of some kind somewhere which won't go down well with one of the communities.
I think there's a potential for the sort of arrangement between Britain and the EU to result very favorably for Northern Ireland. I understand this is very difficult about how the checks are done, but the extent Northern Ireland can have an ease of trade, both with the rest of Britain, but also with the European Union, puts them, in a very unique position. I'm hopeful, expectant that there'll be a way to work out with Europe a system by which the goods that are going into Northern Ireland and staying in Northern Ireland can be exempt from checks or get very low level of checks, and that a very small number of goods that may end up in the European Union are subject to those inspections. That's a deal, I think, that's there for the taking, and the result of that, I think, could be very good, both economically and politically, for Northern Ireland. When I was there yesterday and the day before, we heard about companies that are right now seeking to locate in and around Belfast because of the ability to be able to trade freely from Belfast into the European Union and into the rest of Britain.
That's the problem, isn't it?
My hope is that by the end of the year, a deal can be done.
But that may work for businesses in Northern Ireland, but that is the problem for Boris Johnson and David Frost, because they don't want to see Northern Ireland benefiting from still being part of the single market, because that would set back their ideas that Brexit's such a good idea.
Well, I hope that they understand the unique position that Northern Ireland is in. There is going to have to be some special status for Northern Ireland. If not, then you are talking about the reestablishment of a hard border, which would be bad for Northern Ireland and I think very bad for the political process. So I don't think there's any way around Brexit having to result in some kind of special status for Northern Ireland. And again, I think that there needs to be pressure on both sides, both on London and on Brussels, to get that done.
How much of a deal breaker do you think getting this right is for the US Congress, particularly the House of Representatives? I mean, we know, and the Senate indeed, are we going to see, if Boris Johnson makes a mess of this, are we going to see the US Congress effectively saying, well, no trade deal with the UK then?
I think that's likely. I mean, I don't mean to be blunt, but I think if we see the Good Friday Agreement in jeopardy, there is not going to be a lot of enthusiasm from the United States Congress on both sides of the aisle, frankly, to move forward on a trade agreement. There is enthusiasm for a trade agreement, but boy, we have a lot of equities, a lot of history wrapped up in the Good Friday Agreement. And as we've seen, a slight uptick in violence and tension in Northern Ireland. We don't want to see that explode. explode, as could be the case if this all goes wrong. So I'll be there first in line to support a trade agreement with Britain. But for many of us, again, Republicans and Democrats, we need to make sure that the Good Friday Agreement process is unharmed as we try to figure out the final stages of Brexit.
And obviously, just finally, do you think that the British government, Boris Johnson and David Frost, have engaged with this seriously enough yet?
Oh, I think they have, and I think that there's, a renewed sense of optimism, having been on the ground for a few days, that this can get done. I think Europe has been flexible. I think there's a new understanding about how to, again, make sure that most of everything that will flow into Northern Ireland does so without checks or a minimal number of checks. And I hope that our engagement from Congress and from the administration right now is going to help push this along. There's no reason that a deal can't get done, and my sense is that the British government is serious about it, and my hope is that the European Union is just as serious about making the compromises necessary to preserve the Good Friday Agreement and allow for that free trade of almost all goods into Northern Ireland and back to England, Wales, and Scotland.
And just as a point of information, really, are you going to Brussels as well to talk to them about this?
We are right up against the Thanksgiving holiday in the States, so I'm going to be heading back to spend time with family. But I'm going to be actively communicating with my friends in Brussels, our allies there, to make sure that they, are just as willing to be at the table, compromise in hand in the coming weeks.
Senator, we thank you for your time, for your attention, and also, of course, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much.